Welcome back, and in this episode we're going to talk about the short story The Girl Who Heard Dragons from Anne McCaffrey's anthology, A Gift of Dragons. Before we get into that though, as always, I just ask please like, subscribe, turn on notifications so you know when new videos come on out. Also, leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you, whether it's, what you think of the Perm series or the videos, or if there's something that you might want me to read that you might want me to kind of discuss and review. Leave it down below. I'd love to hear from you. I always respond back, and like I said, I love hearing from you guys. Also, spread the word. It's free for you. Helps me out a lot. So I would appreciate that. I appreciate the support. So going into The Girl Who Heard Dragons, it doesn't follow Lessa the way I thought it might have. Probably because it's later than normal. But the book follows Aramina, who is Ruatan by blood, but her family is holdless because when Lord Fax came, and this all happens during Dragon Quest and the Harper Master of Pern, when Fax basically comes to Ruata, he murders the whole bloodline. Except for Lessa. She escapes somehow and, ends up going with Flar and Fënor and becomes Weird Woman of Pern. Now, the thing that is interesting about Aramina, it's a different kind of name, but the thing that's interesting about her is not only can she hear dragons, and she can relay these messages to her family. They're trying to escape holdless renegades or holdless bandits that are basically after her for the very reason that she can hear dragons. They think she would be an asset to them. So her family, they're running from them, but the dragon, she can tune into the dragons, and she knows when threat's coming and where it's coming, so they know when to take shelter, when they can keep moving. Her family is very proud. Her brother is always boastful, and it's really because of his boasting about that his sister can hear dragons that they are on the run, because the Lord Lady Thessa, Lordless, or Lord Holdless Thessa, is after them. So the family doesn't want to be bound to anybody. They don't want to they don't want to be tied down to anyone. And as they're trying to find a cave, the wagon that they're using collapses and falls on Aramina's father. And her mom, Barla, are trying to lift this wagon up. They're trying to get it off of her father. And they can't. It's too heavy for them. So she basically just sends out in her mind, help. Help me, help, 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 help. Well, wouldn't you know, not only can she hear the dragons, but the dragons can hear her. And it's Kavan, if you remember from The Smallest Dragon Boy, and his dragon come to save the day. Now, he's still a Weirling. But his dragon's old enough to fly. So it's not a dragonette anymore. It's old enough to fly. And they're able to lift up the cart. The dragon's able to lift up the cart and pull her father from the wagon. From there, it's getting him into a It's getting them to the cave before Threadfall comes. And that's the key. Which they do, and they find that this cave is like really big. It's bigger than some holes are. Um, and all they want is the chance to just stay there until her father is well again, enough to travel. And Lord Asganar, because it's happening in his land, says, okay, now they don't want to be held to anybody but Lord Asganar, and is just like, we'll figure something out, basically. Unless it's even like, your Ruatan blood is making you too proud. The gifts that we gave you were nothing. Numbweed and Fellas and Claw and Bread. This is nothing compared to what we could give you if you stop with your pride. So, what it boils down to in the end, and it's about an 80-page story, one of the longer ones in the anthology, is that they realize that their hold in Ruata, it's a small hold, but it's a hold, is still deserted. It's still there, if they want it. Or they could stay on with Lord Asganar and be his, work with him as a woodmaster. And Barla the mother says, well, Ruata's ours by right. And Lessa says, as it is and as it shall be. That's for you. Lessa says, though, to Aramina, but you are for the weird. And Aramina's like, you mean I'm more important to the weird than I am to my own family? And Lessa's like, well, you can speak to dragons and you can hear dragons, and we need that. So yes, you are, and you will see that. Now, that coming into play tells me she's going to be somewhere in these last 4 stories, these last 4 books, that I have to go. And it'll be interesting to see just what kind of role she plays. There are eggs at Bendon, but if I remember correctly, it said that there wasn't a queen. So she wouldn't be on the hatching ground unless she's like Miram and can impress a green. So it's possible, but chances are she would probably have to wait for the next clutch to be on the hatching sands, the hatching grounds. So that's the way the story ends. Is she's going to go off with Lessa and Flar and Fëanor, and Flar says, once Lessa and the dragons of Bendon speak, you're coming. It's the choice has been made. So with that, she's going to go, and that's the way the story ends. I thought it was pretty well paced, and like I said, I think it's going to be interesting to see how Aramina plays into these last 4 novels of Pern, if she plays in at all. But the way I've seen Anne McCaffrey work is that when a character gets brought up, they don't go away. They're going to be there. So I have a feeling she's going to play a pretty decent role. I liked the story. I'd give it a 4.5 stars. Just because, again, it moves really well. Maybe it could have been turned into something more than it really was. Now, as a whole, on the anthology, because this is the last one that I had to read in the anthology, there's 4 stories, or 4 novellas, 4 short stories or novellas in this book, A Gift of Dragons. There's The Smallest Dragon Boy, which I've already reviewed. The Girl Who Heard Dragons, which obviously we just went over here. Runner of Pern, which I did earlier, and was kind of don't know if that really needed to be there. And then Ever the Twain, which was back when I was doing the third pass books. It's one of those that was basically undateable. Nobody really knows where this thing is set, except for maybe Anne McCaffrey, and she's obviously not alive to tell us anymore. But most readers were guesstimating between somewhere in the second, third pass. So that was where I did that. So if you want to see what those stories are more about and what rating I gave those, you can check those videos out as well. But overall, I would give, I think, this anthology probably a 4.4. I mean, I can't, obviously on Goodreads I can't give a point, but I'm going to do that here. The one that really, I guess, brings it down for me is The Runner of Pern. It was just one that I didn't really see the need that it needed to be there. I mean, I know runners deliver the messages, and it's one way of communication. And it's a job that some people have. But it just, and I guess you can see how gathers work a little bit more, and how, lord holders and sons of lord holders can kind of shape things. But I think in the overall canon of Pern, it didn't really necessarily need to be there. So that's where I'm bringing it down to the 14.4, or 4.4, 14.4. So, I would recommend it. I mean, if you want to read all of the Pern stuff, and if you're going to go like I did, chronological order, it's kind of annoying because it basically will take you a while to read this book, because you're not going to read it all the way through. You're going to read one story, and you're going to go off and read some other stories, and you're going to come back and read Runner of Pern, and then you're going to go off and read other books, and then you're going to come back and read the first two stories in this book, and then you're done. That's the way it works chronologically. If you're going to do it publication-wise, or you're going to read it through this, it's 291 pages with some illustrations. It won't take very long. It's a very quick read. But if you do it chronologically, it's going to be sitting there for a little while, depending on how fast you get through the novels. But yeah, I would recommend it. I think it's a good anthology. I said one of the 4 stories I think could have been skipped. I can see why it was there, but I don't know if it was really, if the need was there. So yeah, 4.4 out of 5, which isn't bad. I've given worse. But anyway, with that, again, please subscribe, subscribe, turn on a notification button, that way you know when new videos come out, because they come out all different times. Basically, once I get done with a book or a story, I try to do this, so it's all fresh in my mind, and then it goes up. So if you turn on notifications, you'll know when a new video hits. Drop a comment down below, whether it's your thoughts on the Pern series, or the videos, or something you might want me to read and review, or your Goodreads name, so we can kind of like meet up and you can see what I'm reading and I can see what you're reading, and kind of, maybe get some ideas from there. Also, if you do YouTube videos like this and you do books, I'd be interested in a collab of some kind. Leave a comment down below. Let me know. Like I said, I'd love to hear from you. I always respond back. And spread the word. Like I said, it's free for you, and it helps me out. So with that, until next time, keep YouTube literate, and God bless.